Do you want to find the best players in FM22? I'm sure you do, and all of that comes down to scouting, but I want to ask a question right off the bat. Let me know down in the comments. Are you in control of your own scouts? And if you're not, hopefully by the end of today's video, you will be. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, there are so many things that come into getting players into your club and getting the best players into your club in FM22, and all of that is part of this global thing called scouting. Now, scouting can look very, very complicated when you jump into it the first time, but I'm going to ease you through things today and the things that I look for, how we get the best scouts first and foremost, and then ultimately how you set up your scout assignments to find the best players for your complete situation. So before we get into things, if you do think this will be a video that will be of use to you, please do drop a like on it down below, and if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button whilst you're there and ring that bell so you're told each and every time that the channel uploads a video. So first and foremost, you can't get things done correctly, in my opinion, unless you have the staff to facilitate that. Now, I am jumped in here on my Red Star save, which I am doing live on YouTube. You can come and check that out if you wish, and as you can see, I am a stickler for staff. We have the best medical team in the division. We already have the best recruitment team, and I've just asked for 2 more scouts which have just been granted, so I can show you what we're doing here. And I noticed that we didn't have the best coaching team all around in the division, so I've asked for 2 more coaches, so I will obviously be recruiting 2 more coaches. But today we're talking about scouts. As you can see, I've currently got 8 out of 7. That's because one of the members of staff in my club has a dual role. I hate it. He will be going soon. But we need to find more staff. So for those of you who didn't know, you can ask for more scouts here, and then it will be an option here of like, you see where it says recruitment analysts allowed, it will instead say scouts allowed. I'm actually going to ask for more recruitment analysts. Come on the board, let's go. So I can now appoint 1 more recruitment analyst and 2 more scouts, which is something that we are going to do now, because I am taking the recruitment very seriously on this save, because we are trying to take Red Star back to the top of the Champions League. They won it in 1991, and we will restore it here. Now, I've already done a video on the channel where we talk about staff and how to get the best staff, where I've showcased this FM Scout staff search, which I use all the time, by the way. So let's clear that, and we will start searching recruitment team here for scouts. Now, obviously, I don't have a lot of money, which is, you know, something to consider. I don't have a endless pocket of cash that I can go for, so I've gone on here 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. As you can see, there are some things here that you need to take into consideration. So you need to take into consideration the main 2 stats on a scout are judging player ability and judging player potential. Now, again, much the same as all the attributes in FM, these range from 1 all the way up to 20. So as you can see, this guy here has 18 for both, so he is a pretty good scout. Another thing you need to take into consideration is their mental stat of adaptability. As you can see here, this guy here, his stats 14, again ranging from 1 to 20, so that means he will be adaptable in terms of learning new countries if you were to send him outside of where he knows already. So this is where you need to look at the world knowledge. As you can see here, he has a full knowledge of Romania, 100% knowledge. That is because he is himself Romanian, but he also has a 90% knowledge for Bulgaria, Moldova, and a 50% knowledge of France. Now, if you were to send him to one of these countries, he would go there, he would crack on, he would do his business, and you would get your scout reports. However, if you were to send him to, let's say, South America, his adaptability will help him settle and start getting you those scout reports quicker. You also need to take into consideration the determination, as you can see here, the mental desire of a staff member to succeed. So this guy's determination is 12, so that's not too bad. Coupled with the other stuff, I actually think this guy is a very, very good scout. He's formerly of Monaco, Young Boys, Hanover, and Bayern Leverkusen. Now, I can only assume that I don't have the money to pay for this guy. Yeah, I've got a budget of £850 a week, so that is not very good, but you can kind of see already, guys, what I'm sort of looking for here. So you can go again, this guy probably not as good, former scout for Marseille, but also take into consideration where they are and where they know, guys, because if you want to try and pull in players from certain regions, finding staff from those nations would be very, very good. So for instance, if I wanted to go into South America, I could see this guy here who's got a full scouting knowledge of Argentina because he's Argentinian, former scout for San Lorenzo. It's a very, very good club for producing youngsters, and we could try and offer him a contract. Again, I don't have the money here, guys, but you can kind of see what we're doing here. This is how we're trying to find scouts. I'm probably going to have to settle for more Serbians, because obviously that is where Red Star are based. I'm not too adverse to Bosnia, Germany, Serbia, and Montenegro as options here. So let's try and approach this guy. Yeah, oh, he wants to come in as my assistant manager. No. Scout for 700 no, he wants to come in as my assistant manager. But you can kind of see what I'm looking for, guys. I'm looking for this sort of stuff, and the more staff you bring in, the better your world knowledge is. So if we go into the scouting section on the left hand side and we go onto knowledge in the top bar here, this is the current scouting knowledge for me as Red Star manager. Now, obviously, I do have scouts to a point, but in terms of my world knowledge and how far we cover 15% of the world, which doesn't sound like a lot, but look at the amount of green that is on here because of my knowledge of players. Knowledge of players also means when you go and search for players yourself, if you have a better understanding of knowledge of areas, players from those countries will show up. So for instance, I have a full knowledge here, as you can see, of Brazil, thanks to Carlos, one of my coaches. He's actually my goalkeeping coach. He gives me 100% knowledge of Brazil. So that means Brazilian players show up in my search because of that guy, and he's a goalkeeping coach. He's not even a scout. So there you go, guys. That is something to bear in mind when you are building your staff team. Make sure that you've got a little bit of everything, in terms of countries and all of that stuff, because as you can see here, I've got good knowledge of everywhere. I have a very poor knowledge of Germany, actually. So finding a German or Austrian scout would be very, very good for me. So you can see these sorts of areas of weakness and try and like fill in the gaps. Basically, I actually didn't know that I was this good in South America for a team based in Eastern Europe, whilst also being very poor in Germany. So let's try and find ourselves a German scout. Just because I've only just noticed it, let's try and find ourselves a German scout. So here we go. Nassim, he's okay, pretty good in Germany, pretty good in Austria and Switzerland. Let's see if we can offer him a job, and we cannot afford him. Okay, this is going to be a long process, which obviously I will do on stream, but you can kind of see what I'm looking for, guys. And then you have the fun task of assigning your scouts. Now, as I said, going into your scouting section, and here you have the option up here to take responsibility of the scouting. I always assign my scouts myself, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. And then obviously you handle the scout meeting so that when they bring stuff back to you, you can kind of see what sort of players you've got. And obviously it pulls in this recommendation view. I will say, don't look at the cards. Don't look at the cards. For me, I never look at the cards. 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 mentioned this on a video that you can look at them in list format, and ever since then, I can't look at the cards. I know it sounds stupid, but I'm sending my players out, my staff out to find youngsters who are good enough to play in my team. So a 2.5 star, 3-star player, but with the potential to be much better, because we are trying to get money into the club. Now, you can do this in all walks of life in FM. If you're an elite level club, still getting these youngsters into the club will be very beneficial for you, because it will give you a bigger transfer budget when you ultimately sell them. And if you're a smaller club, much like I am with Red Star here, it's all about how we generate money to get ourselves much more competitive in the Champions League. So now you have the knowledge, now you have the right staff in order. Now you need to set up their assignment. So as you can see here, guys, I've already done this, but I'm going to reassign everybody. I was going to reassign everybody once I set up all of my additional scouts, but that isn't going to be the case because it will take me about 10 minutes to find people because we don't have any budget. So as you can see here, I've got one of my scouts here set up to scout the next opposition, which is fine. This guy, this is the under-9. This is the guy who's got the dual responsibilities, an under-19s coach. That's why he's got no coaching assignment, no scouting assignment. But I've also, as you can see here, got staff set up to scout Serbia, Europe, UK and Ireland, South Europe, Central Europe, Belgium, and obviously Europe as a whole. So the reason I've got some of these set up is different things. So for instance, this guy who's Europe as a whole, as you can see, ongoing assignment, looking for hot prospects within Europe for a transfer, desirable attributes, his age, scouting potential ability, scouting current ability, and scouting current potential ability. Whereas the guy in Belgium, again, looking for the similar sort of stuff, hot prospects. Central Europe, again, hot prospects. South Europe, again, hot prospects. UK and Ireland, again, hot prospects. This guy who hit up here, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙚 is looking for players within Europe as a whole continent at the end of their contract, because I feel that they could be beneficial for me to bring in. And then of course I've got a guy looking for hot prospects within the country of Serbia. So the way you set these assignments up, guys, most of these, once you take control of this, will just be set on either general focus or known talent, I believe, as you can see here, general focus or known talent. So what you need to do is, once you've taken control, cancel. Let me just I'll redo this guy here for Serbia. So let you cancel this one here by clicking the red thing here. No current assignment. So as you go on to Novak here, you click on him, pulls him up as a scout. Go on to his reports and go down to scout assignments, guys. So this is where his former assignments and reports all sit in here, so you can see this. So then you want to click on create new assignment. So this is where you need to take into consideration where he is good. He has a full knowledge of Serbia. He's also good in Bosnia. He's also good in Montenegro. Then you click on create new assignment. That pops up this window. And basically from here, guys, you can do anything you really want. You can set up anything for the most part. So you can look at players, you can look at teams, you can look at matches. I always set my scouts up to look at players. Now we'll start on the left and we'll work our way over. So as you can see here, player type. Now this is where you can sort of look for stuff in specific detail. You can say, I want you to look for a first team player for me. I want you to look for a backup player for me, or a hot prospect, or a replacement for someone you know who is departing. So for instance, if you are a PSG manager and you know Kylian Mbappe is leaving you at the end of the season, you can say scout for a replacement for Kylian Mbappe. It's relatively straightforward. If you're looking to buy someone and you're much more of an elite level team, potentially looking for a first team player is maybe your option. Or if you're like I am, trying to collect as many wonder kids as humanly possible, you will click on hot prospect. Now a good thing that I would recommend is adding in this fits tactic here. This will load up your 3 tactics that you've got in your save, and you can say I would like them to fit this particular tactic. It is the 4-2-3-1 that I am currently working on in this Red Star save. So obviously they're going to try and find me a young player, as you can see is at most age 24 with scouted potential ability is good, that will fit into my system. Make sense? Then you move on to the transfer type. So this is where I've said you can kind of look for different stuff. You can look for transfers, loans, or end of contracts. As I said, mostly I'm looking for transfers. I'm looking for youngsters that I can bring into my club. However, if you want to find someone who would potentially fit as a loan, as a hot prospect, which is something I should probably do moving forward, you can select the loan option. Or if you're looking for people at the end of their contract, this will bring in all the free transfers that you can potentially sign. So I would definitely recommend setting up a scout to do that. If you are working in the lower leagues of England, I would only do this in different countries. Only do end of contracts. I never, if I were doing a lower down save, I would never spend money on any player up until I got into the championship, maybe even then into the Premier League. So that's one for you to bear in mind, that sort of end of contract offer. In this particular instance, I'm going to reset his assignment up. So I am going to look for a transfer. You can set the transfer budget as well. I've just left mine at automatic. It sort of tells you how much money you've got to play with. I've got 1.8 million there to spend. You can say that you want specific attributes for them to look for as well. Which, you know, I don't do. I just kind of let them loose. If you're looking for a specifically a defender, you can definitely set that up to be a defender. In terms of scope, guys, this is where you are going to send them. So if you click on here, you can see the scouting range. You can just tick your scouting range regardless of how big it is, how wide it is. If you've got a world scouting range, this could take the guy a while. If you want to be a little bit more specific, you can section this off by looking for competitions. You can look for nations, you can look for regions, or you can look for continents. So as you can see now, I have a worldwide scouting pool. I didn't have this at the start of the save a year ago. So I can send my scouts to any of these continents. This guy in particular, he was working for me in Serbia. So we will go back to Europe, and then you can select the country here. Let me scroll up, and there is Serbia. So he is now looking within Serbia for someone who is eligible for a transfer, who is a hot prospect that fits into my 4-2-3-1 tactic. Then the final things, you can add additional conditions if you wanted to. Homegrown status is potentially one if you've got really tricky eligibility rules, language spoken, national team, etc, etc. You can add in weight, you can kind of do whatever you want in here. And then the final one I would suggest is going down to the duration, and then usually you leave it until finished, and I just leave it on ongoing. I just constantly want this guy to be going out and trying to find me hot prospects within Serbia eligible for transfer that will fit my tactic. You click ongoing and then you click start assignment. So that will now send Novak out to Serbia to find all of these prospects for me, and then his reports will be here. And as you can see, here are the players that he has already suggested for me, some of which will potentially, like this guy, 16-year-old DLP from one of our rivals. Looks like he could be an option. He's definitely not a striker, but also not really the kind of level that we are looking at, although he does have a potential of 4.5 stars. So that's what you can kind of do, guys. And then that means when you go into your scouting center, you can see all of these players. This is how I've set mine up. We've got some in here, as you can see. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, he's opting out of his contract, so I find that he is opting out, and he could be a player that we want to bring in. We've got a couple of others who are opting out of contracts here, a couple of others that are transfer listed, and as you can see, a couple people in here that will cost me nothing apparently, which would be very interesting. So for instance, I could go and get this guy for nothing, which would be quite nice, wouldn't it? I can approach to sign him. Happy days. I might actually do that, you know. I've not really looked at this for a couple days because last stream we had the World Cup with Serbia, which kind of took on a lot of my attention. But guys, that is where I'm going to leave things for today. Hopefully you have learnt how to find out how to assign your own scouts. Don't let the game do it for you. It's an absolute car crash. You found out now how to find the best staff using the staff filter, which will be linked down in the description. You found what you need to look for in your staff. You've understood how scouting knowledge impacts things as well, and then ultimately how to set your scouts up to find the best assignments and the best players for your teams. So if you have found this useful, drop a like on it down below, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here, and until next time guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you on another one very, very soon.